Alright, scraping up and down the island continues. A moth-bitten bed sheet keeps the wind out. Well, it seems I slept for about an hour, so this isn't the most aggressively dangerous place at this point. I mean, if somebody did shoot somebody from here, that was a week ago, basically. More than a week ago, 2 weeks ago, so yeah. Case is getting cold. Books and magazines lie scattered on the floor and on a makeshift cupboard. They are not particularly well organized. Most are soft covers, serialized fantastique and detective stories from the 20s and 30s. This disparate digest includes the classic Animal Adventures. Popular depictions of man versus nature by amateur naturalists T&T Harpin, husband and wife, widely read by people of all walks of life. Who doesn't like nature? Who doesn't want to survive? Among what is mostly commercial fiction and serialized stories, you find a magazine cathodique of electrical engineering. Then it's back to pulp. Light erotica, an international thriller about circuit benders. Someone's made themselves at home. Lieutenant inspects the softcover. Anything stand out as unusual? All things communist +1? That kind of gives away what the unusual thing is going to be, but okay. Nat crit. Oh yeah. Dice roll didn't even matter. I mean, my stat barely mattered if I'm going to roll that. Oh yes. Under the bed there's a rather extensive collection of critical theory. That is, dour, life, non-affirming left-wing literature published by small imprints such as Abattoir Firm and USA. It's not exactly light reading. Look, Kim, powerful communist theory, rigorous and truthful. Deranged communist ranting. Downbeat dribble for people who can't get shit done. Look, Kim, a book. Left wing. I have no comments, do you? I have no opinion one way or the other. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. That should be how you get boring cop points. It's by being a fucking centrist. Look, Kim, powerful communist theory, rigorous and truthful. Lisa. He enunciates the word diligently. I agree. Humanitarian sciences, it stands out. Not of a lot of critical theory around in Revachol West. Your incendiary remark has failed to provoke him. Wasn't there some in the communist students' room? A student in the apartment building seems to have some as well. Well, yes, that one student did. The little books seem inconsequential next to the big pile of frivolous entertainment covering them. Critical theory books. What do you think this means? Again, I am not a philosopher, but whoever has lived here, they have some education and a certain set of interests. Interesting? Yes, it is interesting. It's their interests. Haha. So both of these books and the chair are all one item. Army surplus winter scarf. +2 empathy. This towy old scarf itches when wrapped around the neck. It has humanitarian aid written all over it. You know that thousands all over Iceland are suffering the same fate as you, the fate of uncomfortable army surplus scarves. +2 empathy, plight of the underclass, -1 composure. Sucks to be poor. Pour this my drama knot. The scented scarf. Horrific net tie is always a funny thing. You'll betrayed if you change it in for some boring scarf. That's funny. Inland Empire, vivid imagination. Speaking of Inland Empire, how's my empire going? Wow. Still have 2 hours left on this thing. I might be reaching my final form on this stuff anyway. It's fine. And do I want to stick to my empathy tie? Disco ass blazer. I'm missing some of my past setups. Can't see the scarf very well with this top though. You just straight up just doesn't render when you wear this apparently. And it renders under this one apparently. Funny. Pinball maker's coat. That's really what it's called? I've always kind of liked this one. Gloves look a little weird, but their stats are just so good. It's just the other gloves, but better. Oh. How many fallen pieces is that now? That's the shirt right there. This fallen training shirt has seen one wash too many. It retains its unusual design, one sleeve short, the other long, but little of its original colors. The giant F swooshes across its chest, now in gray. Sleeveless aim for hand-eye coordination. My fallen cap. Oopsie. Are there fallen glasses? My glasses and boots are still largely sorted from when I tried to sort them at one point, but it just doesn't really come together that way. Not the way that the stuff's categorized. The moment you try to switch any clothes in and out, it goes right back to being a mess again. There's the progress so far. I don't have pants, right? No, I do have pants. Yeah, these 4 are all fallen, and that one's fallen. So I have 5 fallen items. Yeah. Are there shoes? There were shoes, weren't there? That's what the one guy was selling for like $1 billion. I think. Funnily enough, I'm wearing fallen trousers because almost everything else... I don't have black pants. Oh well. Hope you enjoyed this minor obsession over appearances again. More drugs, please. Why, yes. One of those was yellow for some reason. So, local, where are you? Where are you hiding out, buddy? This hatch is jammed shut. Water rushes below, far down below. Green paint flakes off the monoblock aluminum cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard. What is this then? The console of an antique computation device. The lieutenant points to the wires running into the machine. The generator upstairs, with the wires coming out, they terminate here. What does this console do? He inspects the dials. Urgence, ouvert, allumé, radio diffuse. Sounds like this device was used to control the electronics here. Maybe it still does. This device was used to control the electronics in the room. It could open doors, control lights, function as a radio computer. Turn emergency open. Nothing happens. We need to restore power before using this, officer. The generator. He looks upstairs. It didn't look like there was fuel in it. Find fuel for the generator. Then he looks into the dim light on his right. We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe one of them still has something in it. The boat engine. Not the boat engine, you lunatic. How are we gonna get back? Are we gonna row back? I guess we could. It's not that far, actually. Or we get some from the boat engine? But officer, he looks you in the eye, then we would have to swim back to the mainland. Let's just look around, okay? It took me out of that... Oh. It took me out of mentioning the fuel. But yeah, I guess I had more fuel, though. I can't talk about it now. You can't go through all the... Sometimes it's not clear whether you're going to be able to go through all the options or not. Ah. More drugs hid under the stairs. You know, things that just happen. No, stop running. I'm role-playing. But also I'm concerned there might be consequences. This great blast door weighs over 10 tons. Rust feels off it. Is this door closed? Or locked, I mean? You see a small metal door nested inside a larger one, a heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle. It's very small. What's on the other side? Another part of the island, probably. The lieutenant looks into the keyhole. The lock inside looks like it could still be usable. How do we open this? He looks at the door, then at its bigger brother, then at the lock. Maybe this is one of the doors we don't open. He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling. It must control the blast door. You're right. We open the big one. See the controls anywhere? Yeah, on the console just southeast of here, remember? He points to it, then shuffles his feet to stay warm. Let's look around. Getting the blast door open seems like the best plan. And so we shall. But first let's explore the island, even though I already have the fuel. Maybe we'll find the key, too. But also I just want to explore, because I can. But slowly. My poor tootsies couldn't take it going any faster. Here I am worrying about, or injuring myself by running. And then my character goes and thrashes in his sleep, thoroughly screwing myself over there. A firing slit. You can't see inside. Thankfully, I've already been inside. Yeah. So as expected, this place does have interaction spots. It's just not during that dream. It must have been a direct hit to take that much of a chunk. Once again, I can't go left at all. The distant sound of cargo ships. Signal horns echo on the water. Seems like I could go left if I wanted to. In reality, but it's just kind of out of bounds here. They decided to split the entire island into the reeds sway strangely. No. It's nothing. What? You're going after the reeds? The reeds. Come on. They seem to have split the island into, like, quadrants, or triplets, or whatever. Sections. So that you have to go through the structure itself to access the rest of the island. The ice cracks under your feet. Be careful not to fall through. Was this where? No, it was north more, wasn't it? When I went on my crazy flying expedition. Walking across the ocean. The chain. Lots of reed noises around here. A strange feeling, looking at the water. Maybe you should just wander off into the sea, leave it all and walk in. Why? Perhaps there's someone there, under the water, waiting for you. Where it has always been. In front of the video rental, on the corner, at the crossing. Smelling of tutti frutti and betrayal. But it's cold. Yes, cold and still. But love is warm, like the inside of her mouth. No, 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 no. Yes, 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 yes. No, no, we're not starting with that. Not now, not this time. This thought is over. Raise your sight. In the still mirror of the bay, you see Martinez, reflected. Tall edifices of ruins reach into the water like shimmering towers. And the shacks, too. Pine trees and motor lorries, upside down. Islets and posts, still stepping stones. Islets and posts, like stepping stones, lead into the water in front of you. Go. Step in. It's been too long. Shake your head. Nope, fight it. The winch is broken. Rust has eaten what remains of the chain. The depot that supplied this chain is long gone from the coast. And we can't go up there, so this is a dead end too. The reeds are noisy. Can you walk out onto here? This almost seems to be the loudest spot or something. No. This place is so full of reeds, and my character thought about it. I'm wondering, is it gonna happen? The pain in your pelvis makes you wince. Then you continue. The inside of the fortress. You make out the console on the blast door. That's the collapsed wall. Oh, that's oil. Or fuel. A weathered artillery map showing coordinates in the Bay of Revachol. Old medicine cabinet, newly stocked with dramamine. Useful for my purposes. There's still some fuel in this battered canister, a liter or two. The metal looks decades old. The logo of the automotive manufacturer loom has faded on the side. There's a rain-soaked mattress on the concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits, like two eyes in the wall. B triple prime. Lieutenant lowers his voice, stepping closer with his hand on the gun. This looks like a good place to shoot from. Inspect the mattress. A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name, Marjorie. There's a fuel stain on the cover, along with cigarette burns. And an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. Pick one out of the can. Silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand? Tui Motiri. Tui Motiri. Like the ones we found at Land's End, remember? I may have been wrong when I said it was unimportant. He stares into the can for a second. This means the same person could have visited both locations. I didn't see any signs of smoking inside, though. If people live here, they keep it tidy. This here may have also been a smoking spot. Inspect the wall. There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you. Like a little window. Touch the concrete first. Quite old, and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than rain. Look through the hole in the concrete. The springs screech as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. Here we go. A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you, like a tiny landscape painting, 1 kilometer across the water. The ruin looks familiar. On the left, a towering skyscraper. Its top floor is shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside Apartments, Rue de Saint Ghislaine, 33A and 33B. On the right, the red chimney and collapsed back of the 4-story tenement in front of the Whirling in Rags, Rue de Saint Ghislaine 10. The doomed commercial area. And between the two, the box-shaped silhouette of the Whirling in Rags. Its sloped roof, a tiny fleck of light catches your eye on the rooftop. Sunlight reflecting off this upstairs window of Gloucester's room. Motherfucker. What does that mean? Do you have line of sight to the window? More than that. Kim, with a pair of binoculars, I would be able to see inside the room. A pair of binoculars or the scope of a rifle. He points to the makeshift bed. You'd be prone, lying on the mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure. Cheek against the cheek rest. Hand on the hair trigger. On a calm day like this? Kim, I could make it. I could make the shot. Good. He pats you on the back. 3 small pats in a row. I think we have it, Detective. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest. Affirmative. Why didn't we come here before? Why? We don't go everywhere in a 1,000-meter radius of a crime scene. That's not procedure. 6 people are dead. Don't beat yourself up, officer. We did not put guns in their hands, or get them drunk. The lieutenant pauses. Regret comes over him. He looks north. Over the fortification, then adds, we will make up for it. Here. I feel it. Could the shooter still be here? Where? He looks behind his back. On the island. He does not answer. Just nods. With his back hunched, he looks around once more and says, we should move. Now. Now the fear sets in. We found what we were looking for. I'm so... yeah. You're forced to just kind of ignore the map when it comes to this calculation. It doesn't really make sense. First of all, it looks like the angle of the shot was coming like in this direction. To the right, but it would have to be down here. But even if that was the case, the window's at such a bad angle on the Whirling in Rags that like you'd have to be coming from this direction. Like the shot basically had to come either from the top of the building, which is disqualified from the audio, or somewhere down here. Even the church is already too steep of an angle because you'd have to go through the doomed commercial area to get there. So the shot would have to come from this boardwalk over here, not the actual boardwalk pier, but like this area at where the Humpty Dumpty Dom Center, or it'd have to come from the fisherman shacks or anywhere along this coast area, basically, or on top of the thrift store. And that's about it. Like, that's the... Her room was in here. Those are the windows facing this direction. But I think that's ultimately just a limitation of the fact that this is an isometric... it's an isometric CRPG with, like, pre-drawn environments that can only be really viewed from one direction. So ultimately, all these places are tilted in a direction that helps them be like visually distinct and look good, and also the important parts are facing the camera no matter what, and also you can explore it by clicking around the map. So it might be for gameplay reasons, but it is kind of jarring that such an important element of the story just does not match up. Because like it just doesn't. That's just not the line of sight. You could not see into her room from that angle. This would be the kind of like sloppy police work that would come up in a cold case or whatever, where you just get where like people would actually go to the site and discover, wait, those guys are full of shit. They pinned it on the person from that island saying they took the shot, but if you actually go to the spot they say the shot was supposed to be taken from, you can't see that spot at all. Like that kind of issue. Oh well. Or maybe I'm crazy, but it really looks like it's impossible. But I'll just accept it. That it's like, oh yeah, this island's more west or something. Then it shows up on the map. Like really west. And also kind of south. I don't know. Well, now I've got plenty of fuel. Hello, autosave. Whenever a game noticeably autosaves, part of you thinks like, oh, time for something to happen. Pour fuel into the tank. The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to fuel the tank as you tilt. Dark brown viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder, and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch. Pull the rope. The recoil start wakes the generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle. That should do it. We're not finding nearly enough uses for my trusty multi-tool. A dim golden glow animates the console. Faint, like a ghost-like. Urgence ouvert? Reads one dial key. Allume? Reads another. It's on. He smiles. Turn. Emergency open. Automatic boot? Could this open the blast door? I think. Yes. Let's see. He points to the emergency dial switch. That one. The emergency open. Radio? The dial slides into the dusty glass. Dark and silent despite the power being on. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words Feld Insular are written on the band. Insular. The lieutenant leans in to inspect the cursive writing. This is an off-air radio computer, I believe, used for military communications. It's an air-gapped system. An off-air military model. Its circuits are nearly impossible to bend, i.e. it cannot be remote controlled. Light interior. The lighting in the room turns on with a sizzle, a dim, ambient orange. Emergency. Open. The blast door opens with a series of clinks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in. Big, complicated 3-stage sliding door. After you. The lieutenant gestures at the opening. What if we get into another fight? Don't worry. He takes out his sidearm, checks the barrel, then holsters it again. I have a gun. Harry, this reminds you, you're out of bullets. My gun's out of bullets, by the way. Then it's extra good that mine is not. What's there? I don't know. A thin wisp of smoke rises from the charred black fire pit. The wind picks up, then dies down again. Let's go. One short trip upstairs. Just curious. Anything new illuminated by the lights turning on? Probably for the best. For Kim to have the gun. He pulled off a good shot before. But he's also not wounded. I'm probably not in the best shape, but hopefully we're done fighting. I have a career that has 3 deaths in it, and this is the 4th one, and I'd really prefer that to be the end. My click range is reduced. Small white flowers blossom all around you. Oh! Flowers, you say? Dried maybells. Yeah, it's one stalk with hanging flowers. This is where the flowers are from, aren't they? A rubber dinghy. It's deflated. Broken. Yeah, I can't click around here or around there. My mouth, I can only click on the floor to move if my mouse has this little white circle. We're getting more and more invisible walls around here. That are like the outer limits of where I can walk. Oh, that's someone. The fireman? An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eye slits, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp. He's practically tearing up from spite. Hatred got the best of him a long time ago. This man hates everything. Are you the fire guy?
What now? I can't hear you.
He cups his ear. Did you recently tell 2 kids to put out their fire? 2 twins?
I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around trying to give up the position.
The position? Sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy, regressive bourgeoisie henchman, can't even talk like a grown-up.
You retained your eyesight?
My eyesight, yes, helps me see all this shit.
Did you close the blast door?
I did. And you opened it. How?
I fueled the generator, then used the console.
I should have burned that console down.
He shakes his head. How did you know I was coming?
Reactionary rock and roll music playing on the water.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
But you didn't say that, Kim.
I did.
We have entered a world where he said you shouldn't. It is the only world. It's not reactionary, it was cool.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate, hip, gyrating mental illness music.
You seem to be the reactionary here. Nice gun you got there.
It's not nice, it's a piece of shit. Gets the job done.
Is that a Belle Margrave?
It's a Dragon 446.
Southeast Smarn made, exotic. Must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle? How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Xinyao commune. Military aid.
He passed the rifle. It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing. The Xinyao commune?
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk wiped from a board.
His gaze turns inward. He's right. Almost no one remembers there was a third metastasis of world revolution in the Safavid Empire, extinguished in '06. It's not wiped from the board. I remember it.
They wouldn't like hearing their name coming from your mouth. A damn dog.
The time will come to win his trust, comrade. It is not now. You need to take care of the gun first. Your weapon has stayed true to you. Mine has stayed true to me too.
Yes, I bet you killed a lot of people with it, you fascist fuck.
His eyes narrow.
Have you come to make me one of them?
His grip on his rifle tightens. His left eye twitches. With what? Fear? Rage?
We have come to ask you questions, nothing more.
The lieutenant puts his hand on his holster.
If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
Another spitfall. The spitball lands in the ashes. That's all the answer he gives. Sir, I need you to put down that gun so we can talk further. We're with the police. The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You're a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
His elbows rest in the frame stock, calmly for now, but he may still get it in his hands. Looks like he knows the weapon. You don't see a magazine in the well. The erasure of the Xinyao commune. I am an enemy commander of rank. My authority is so shit. You don't even have a magazine.
You're right. It's a good thing I got one in the chamber.
Oh, wait. Yes. Okay, but keep the gun down while we talk.
No.
The lieutenant aims his pistol square at the man's head and says,
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're going to blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
That seemed really worrying how he dropped it towards Kim like it could have gone off while I was pointing at him when it landed. The old man lays the rifle down, carelessly. then looks at it lying there. He stares at it, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound, a strange sadness like a song. What'd you say?
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present. The present.
The present, to be afraid and cold.
The old man pulls back the hood of his plastic cape and looks up into the sky. It's blue-gray, the same color as the sea. Those words, the future teaches you. Real music. Real prolet cult. Prolet cult. He nods. That's la revolutionnaire, not your rock and roll misanthropy. Chanson de soldat of the black and whites. Marching song. I know La Revolutionnaire. It's the marching song of the World Revolution. There you go. His eyes remain fixed on the sky as he sighs and adds, one of three. In Grat they sang, brave children, favorites of history. And in Sinyao it was... He struggles to remember, then gives up. Some Samarad shit, I guess. In Sinyao they sang, boy with a scythe, golden sun. Golden Sun. I need to get to playing that game sometime. That was one of my first favorites. How does it go, the song? How did it go? He looks at his gun on the ground and shakes his head slowly. Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's gone now. He waves erratically with his hand. Annoyed he can't remember, a little tremor passes through him. It was dear to him, he resents forgetting it. So if I can shoot rabbits, then I can shoot fascists too. Those are the next lines. What are you talking about? He squints and looks you straight in the eye, two black beads moist from sea air. He doesn't recognize it. Aw. We told him the real lyrics and it didn't evoke memory from him. Who are you? My name? He looks across the water, then back at you. Is Eosef Lilianovich Droz, political commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender. His eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull. The commune of Revachol. The lieutenant forgets to close his mouth. Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in 07, trained in the École de Contrôle Aériel, and co-signed to emergency defenses duties in 08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties. 51 minus 8 is 43. You've been on this island for 43 years? No. He looks into the fire. A wisp of smoke rises from somewhere between the charred logs. I've been on other islands too. I was on Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was on E48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was, he thinks, 22 years ago. Again, you've been hiding here for 43 years? 43 years and 10 months. That's the length of my entire life. It's too long. It's not how a human being should live. He grimaces, clearly in pain, but I couldn't just forget what I saw. What have you been doing during all this time? Hiding, fishing, waiting. He looks across the water.
Where the afternoon grows late, on Rue de Saint Ghislaine, people walk home. Streetlights will soon be lit. Further inland, the streets are alive with workers, men, women, children, street hawks and migrant laborers. The temperature is steady. Autocumulus clouds form above Precinct 41.
Always waiting. The old man turns his eyes from the shore and back to you. For what? For her to return. Who? Girl-child revolution. Girl-child revolution. Always. I dare not dream anymore. Good. He blinks his black eyes. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore. However hard I try, whatever I do. You said you deserted your unit? I was just 16 years old. 15 when I was volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. He clears his throat. And of courage, too. Lapse of faith. You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovia and socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took. For what? For reaction to take hold. What's reaction? Petty, bourgeois terror. It's in all men. It wasn't reaction. You were just afraid. It's the same thing. You haven't seen it. Not really. Not naked. It's impossible not to be afraid.
It remains unclear what it is. He makes leaps he doesn't expect you to follow.
And this was... when? Lieutenant instinctively looks to his notebook, but does not take it out.
He is still not convinced for his safety. You should not be either.
May the 13th, 08, 44 years ago. He looks north. The horizon was black with coalition airships. The petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds, storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic. Dark magic. The combined might of international capital all at once. All the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower. He gestures towards it. Huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in our zone, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room. He looks east. What then? I ran. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers underground, like the weakest of the weak, a mouse, frightened of the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring. He looks at the sky. What was that? Airships. I climbed out. He closes his eyes. Into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too, shattered. It all drowned at the lower levels, or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. He opens his eyes and stares right through you. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality. Seen what? The mask of humanity fell from the capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone. Everything you love, all the hope and tenderness in the world, it has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it as it strangles the beats, as it strangles and beats your friends to death, the sweetest, most courageous people in the world. He's silent for a second. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know. What? That the Burgoyes are not human. Say nothing. Let him finish. I had to. I had to fight it. I had to never stop. The old man falls silent. His black eyes keep piercing your skin as he looks to some great distance behind you, shaking his head slowly, retreating from it. What is this place, this island? It's not an island. Droid. He looks around. It's a defensive fortification on the commune of Revachol, and I am its last surviving defender. What was it used for? The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it at No 2, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing, against the whole world. You mean the landing? Retaking of Revachol? Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. He winces. I later found out on the radio, they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? You had 50 million people on Kalu alone. First, I'm not one of them. Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me, who calls an operation against 50 million people Deathblow? Murderers. I know what you mean. You don't know. You haven't seen it. He shakes his head slowly. Iblis. Iblis? The black-eyed angel. He nods. Sha'itan Ahura, the darkened one. Have you survived all this time? How does anyone survive? He looks at his worn running shoes. I steal. What do you steal? Supplies, vegetables, he winces. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being. He coughs once more, then puts his hand on his belly. How is your health, Dr. Dross? I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too. He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer. The RCM could provide medical services. You need to be looked over. I need to die. A droll smile stretches across his mouth. You don't have medical facilities, you have guns. That's all they give you, toy guns. We have Dramamine. and other opioid-based painkillers. You must be in pain. A light goes on in his eyes. He smacks his dry lips. I have been running out of that stuff. This is a serious situation. You need to be looked over, and we can do it. There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. Administer morphine. Moribund. Have you coped, mentally? I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... His eyes roll into his skull and back. I don't even know what. Inferno? You notice the lieutenant's about to say something. I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation. Traitors. It's better alone. He nods towards Martinez. I watched people of the city turn the lights back on, more and more each year, ruins glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting. He looks down at his shoes, his face parched from the sun and the wind. There's a wince of pain in there somewhere. Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on? Have you concealed yourself all these years? It was hard and intense. He shakes his head. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. He closes his eyes. Floodlights on the water at night. There were posters, campaigns. We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Coal City were turned to dust. He looks south. But Jamrock, Falberg, and even Koran, and Boogie Street, of course, those fucking kips had Mazov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol are still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. He shakes his head. Soon they all went silent. The frequency is dead. How did you get between here and the mainland? At night. I used a dinghy. He nods towards the deflated tire in the reeds. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot. The commons too. They'd started snitching. In the city, you move underground? From bunker to bunker. He nods. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into town if I wanted. I'd just... He falls silent, his gaze fixed on the shacks huddled together across the water. The weapons cache under St. Ghislaine 22B in the basement. Have you been there? He looks at you, then pulls the raincoat tighter around his neck. So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Bell Margraves, right? They were damaged beyond use. I know. So you've been there. Sleeping, he coughs. Some nights, ammo scrounging on others. Those Margraves were shit even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however. You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across. So he takes the bullets. That means he can probably fire those bullets, which means the Bell of Margrave's bullets are probably compatible with the gun he's using. Why don't you just walk there? I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals. He does not want to see life moving on. People forgetting, drinking, laughing. There's a small bunker under the Feld building. Have you stayed there? The propaganda bunker? He coughs. I used to, but not anymore. Propaganda bunker? They stored leaflets there, broadcasting equipment too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys. Killed themselves. A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. He stares at the ruins of the Feld building. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins. On the ground. One more question. Do you smoke Tiamotiri cigarettes? I do. He coughs. Ever smoked them on the mainland? They're good. He nods. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the pack too. Reminds me of the last century. Tell me another thing. The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it. You said this is your termless surrender. You're with the RCM. He waves in your general direction. The coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeoisie morals in the Revachol. We're not coalition appointed. We just try to help people. He stares at you coldly. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took the city. I represent their adversary, Le Parti Communiste d'Islande. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all into a mass grave for trying to free humanity. His hand shakes and he breaks into a coughing fit. A spray of blood from his mouth. On the black charcoal in the fire pit. Renee, the royalist on the coast, said, "You never signed the Revacholian instrument of surrender." Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. He draws his breath. I answer to the Communist Party. Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender? He just wipes the blood from his chin. Honorable? Honor is a feudal atavism. He looks at the fire pit. My motive is class. So you're a communist soldier from the communist army? No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. You said you were trained and assigned to the Defense Corps. Trained, he nods, in historical materialism, then assigned to as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something. Wait, what does a political commissar do? The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his lips. The lieutenant speaks softly. His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follow the ideology of the commune. Scientific communism. The tracksuit-clad old man is suddenly reanimated. A commissaire politique is a knight philosopher of the revolution, a future human. Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology. This means you're a trained communist, right? He nods slowly. Then another tremor. I'm also a communist. No, you're not. He coughs. You're a liberast. Liberast? A liberal and a pederast. That's what most liberals are. I'm not a liberal. I told you I'm a communist. Detective. The lieutenant gives you a stern look. We have not come here to discuss ideology. He then turns to the old man. We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation. The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body. The expression on his face is unreadable. There's some sort of interference there. Neurological? I have another serious question for you. There is nothing serious in this world. He looks at the gun lying on the ground. It's a farce. Assesses body language, composure, possible neurological damage. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition, for a man who spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild. He's surprisingly okay. Indeed, he speaks fluidly, his movements are rapid, if erratic, his voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated. Animated by what? Is there somebody else here? It's a mystery. Its animation comes at a cost, too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads. As he just stares at the logs over the reeds, he also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. I'm almost wondering if he's been getting stimulation all these years, because, like, there's another person to talk to. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair, dementia. You've seen demented people before. This feels similar yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Wouldn't a foul temper be a byproduct of his life? Perhaps. But his seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder. Mr. Dross, are you okay? How is your memory? He waves his hand, chasing something that's not there. No, I'm not okay. I shit blood and I'm surrounded by insane people. There it is again. Erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course. What have you been using this gun for? I've used it for killing people. Killing people? It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property? I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people. Interesting. Lieutenant nods. During or after the war? There is no after the war. He shakes his head and smiles. His teeth rotten black. Class war is never over. So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay, okay. This is it, you can feel it. Like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while, but what? This is what you live for. This is the shit. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No, be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Wow, that's a lot of mixed responses. Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor Cornell? The who now? He leans in and cups his ear. He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire. The fascist death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of the 4th. Oh yes, that one. He looks up at the sky and clacks his tongue. Ugly piece of work, that boy. Did you kill him? Lieutenant takes a sudden step forward towards him. I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. He spits a big one at the lieutenant's feet. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks? Suddenly all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first. We've done the ballistics. The shot came from this island. I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. A jitter passes him. Did you like the view? You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. Lieutenant softens his voice. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You clearly need medical aid. I'm ready to die. The man interrupts him, then coughs. I've done my part. He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascies for fascist. Done his part. You said fascies. You're admitting you killed him? You're sad for your fascia brother, aren't you? One twig got broken, now the others are sad. He waves his hand. There's a twitch. Then one more in his right eye. Come on, what am I forgetting? Hit yourself on the side of the head. Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells, the dried Maybells on Clochet's roof. Oh, yes. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. The revolutionary symbols from the war. Nowhere else. Nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them this spring. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clochet's bedroom. Now, they're gonna come up. Of course, thank you, Head, thank you. You got it, remember. The boot prints were like no modern soul. Nothing else comes up. You see the lieutenant watch you try to stimulate your thought process by hitting yourself. Officer, a word. He gestures to take you to the side. Excuse me for a moment, Mr. Dross. Oh, we're about to have a chat. Alright, let's take an intermission. This is... yeah. This is a big one.